Oh, yes, I definitely will. So we've got 92 people and 93. Our max is 100. So once that hits 100, we'll just go ahead and get started. Yes. Yep. So down Yep, so down in the bottom left of if you move your mouse around, the- you'll see a video camera. Hello. Good. Oh, well, maybe they've upped their participants because we're past 100, which is awesome. Yeah. Um, wow. All right. So I have just started with one of the features, which is sharing your screen. We'll get into all of those features in just a little bit. But you should now see, we're going to use this presentation kind of as um, as a jumping off tool, but we're going to jump back and forth between the presentation and actually giving you some hands-on time with Zoom. Does that make sense? So we are going to, if you need the presentation, you can go to tinyurl.com/nisdzoom. Okay. And we will put that actually also in the chat feature down at the bottom. And we'll go ahead and get started. My name is Jeremy Martin, and my co host is Carla Reisman. I do. I work with Seven Hills, Prairie View, Curtis, J.C. Thompson, and Chisholm Trail Middle School. So let's get right into it with navigating and downloading Zoom.us. Oh, awesome. All right. So when it's working, you'll go to zoom.us and there is an option to sign in. Okay. There we go. So you'll see that there's an option to sign in or sign up. If you've not started with your account, you'll click sign up and um, there should be an option to log in with Google. Okay, we definitely want to do the free version, and right now Zoom is um, for all of the things going on. Zoom is giving us premium access. So you'll just click on that, sign up. It's free. You'll log in with your Google credentials. So I'm just going to go to my sign in. It'll say sign in with Google. Okay, just like we always do. And then this is what it looks like for when we log in and we get to our profile. We can see upcoming meetings from there. Okay. hmm Okay. So absolutely. All right. So here are some norms and etiquette that we wanted to go over. With any user, this is just, we have to realize that this is going to be our new meeting style. So think about what would you do um, in a meeting for professional development, and maybe even now starting to think, how would I use this with students as we are meeting with them? So take a minute just to read through these norms and the 6 steps for Zoom success. Absolutely. So we have a question on here. When should I use a personal meeting ID? So you'll notice that it says right here on your profile, it'll say personal meeting ID. Some of One of our teachers who is currently doing a remote math class for our district, she uses her personal meeting ID as a constant link on her Moodle page. So her students know exactly what time that they will be logging in, and so they just click on that link, and it will automatically connect with that teacher. Okay, so if that is a norm that you want to establish with the people that you are meeting with, that at 10 o'clock every day, then um, that might be a good link for you to post one time. Okay, as opposed to starting a new meeting or scheduling a new meeting, which will generate a brand new code every time. So that might be more of a sporadic. I've like focused on this particular time. Yes. So you can take that personal meeting ID and put that into Google Classroom. The downside to that is that it's always going to be open, right? So you would have to establish that we are always going to meet at this time on this day or these couple of days, and then you will be in there to start that meeting. Does that make sense? Okay. Absolutely. So, and we are going to talk about that a little bit later. But, and for those of us that may have missed my first introduction, we are currently recording this Zoom session so that we can post it for our webinar for people that have missed the session. But also, you're going to want to start documenting that you are meeting with students, just in case that there are any questions, or if you wanted to refer someone back to material that they may have missed. Recording that meeting would be should be our new standard, and we'll show you how to do that now, or not now, but in our presentation. Yeah, sure. Unfortunately, you have that one particular meeting, but I'm going to show you now with this how with the feature of scheduling a meeting. You can set that up to be a recurring meeting, and so that might be like all of the chemistry classes, or whatever. Each different prep could have its own recurring meeting. Okay, so let me navigate. Yes. Yes. Um, Yes, and we had a question come up in our chat feature that um, that says um, that they were told that once they are recorded, it becomes public record, and we need to be mindful that when we are recording these. They are meant to protect us, but they are also meant to protect students as well. So we just need to be mindful of the discussions and that we're just keeping everything strictly academic. Okay. We are going to move on. If you do have a question, there's a chat feature down at the bottom. If you will put your question in that chat feature, we're going to get through this first part, and then we'll try to answer as many questions as possible because we have about 15 minutes left. Okay, I did want to show you that scheduling a meeting section real quick. Okay, so um, you'll see on here that it says schedule a meeting. And it'll bring up almost like a calendar type setting. So I can give it a name, okay? I can describe it, set the date. And this is where I said, where I talked about it being a recurring meeting. You can check that. It gives you more options, okay? And then here's that generate automatically or that personal ID meeting. And there's just a whole list of options. I will say that we selected to have the video for the host on. So that means that my video started automatically, whereas you, as the participant, had to manually turn yours on by leaving this off when I scheduled it. And then we also, as a courtesy to help participants remember to mute themselves, we selected to mute participants upon entry. So that way it's just one less thing and you don't hear all the noise at once. And then you do have the option to record the meeting automatically in the cloud, which is the one that we selected. All right. So we're going to move on. Right. Okay, so Carla did mention that checking your audio and video settings would be important. And so if you move your mouse, the rest of this presentation, we're going to move through the bottom of that toolbar. So if you have any questions specifically about that, hopefully they're about to get answered. So starting at the left, you'll see the mute the microphone option, and then these are different options. Notice if you have depending on whether you're using headphones or other speaker systems, your options may look a little bit different. Okay, and then you have similar video features. You have video settings. That's a there's a whole list of different options. And then I know that somebody asked about choosing that virtual background. If that is one of your options, that's where you can start to put different backgrounds behind you. And so it might be that you want to change or hide maybe a messy office or whatnot. Okay, so that might be a good tool to show your students as well. Oh, I don't think that we can hear you, Carla. So this next one is the invite feature. If you click on this, it will pop up a box that looks just like this. You can invite people, and the way that I describe this is if you've scheduled or sent out your meeting ahead of time. Let's say I needed to add somebody in the moment. This is the feature that I would use. I would click on invite, and then I would use this default email, and it's going to pop open an Outlook crafted email that you can just type the participant that needs to join your meeting and send it to them directly. Oh, I see it. Someone with a tree background. I love it. I love it, Stephanie. For our next feature, we have the manage participants. Okay. This is where if yours might say just participants, but you should be able to see who is in the meeting at this point. And from that point, you can contact that person individually, or you can mute them. You can, when you are the host, you have different controls. Okay, like I was able to make Carla a co-host from this managing participant screen. Okay. The next option you'll see is the share screen. Notice on this picture, I've given you kind of a step. So the most important step for this is that you select your screen that you want to share. And notice that there's a screen option, but there's also a whiteboard option. So you might be able to draw on there. And you can even have your students or other participants draw on there as well. But then the most important part that people forget is to actually click the button share down here, because that is what will then start the process of sharing the screen. Okay. The chat feature, we've definitely found that. I see it going strong. What I definitely want to showcase here is that you can chat to everyone, but you can also click on the list of names and you can privately message everyone. Okay. Now, currently, as the host, I have it set up to everyone publicly and privately. Depending on how your meeting is going, you have full control over who gets to chat to whom. So right now I can block all of the chatting by clicking on no one, or I can make it to where you only have the ability to chat with me, or that I can turn off public or private chatting, and it's just being able to post to everyone. Okay. We did talk about the record feature. Okay. Notice that if you set it up to record firsthand, it's going to give you some option. It'll start automatically, but then there's an option to pause the recording or to stop the recording altogether. That does not end your meeting. So just be mindful that that when you're doing that, that you're recording, and then if you're recording the whole meeting, you'll want to go and then end the meeting. Right? There's a feature to save chat records. So when you click, and I believe even everybody at this point has it, you can click on the three dots in the chat box, and it'll ask you to save the chat, and it'll ask what type of file you would like it. Okay. We have breakout rooms, and I know we're going fast and furious, but we want to value your time. Breakout rooms are great for when you're meeting with a large group of people, but then you want to break it down into smaller groups. So if you're wanting small group setting with students, you might make 5 groups and put 3 students in each group, and you can select. There's an automatically option, or you can select which students go in. The manually option does take a little bit of time because you have to go through and manually select each student. But let me actually share that with you. Yes. Oh, I'm sharing. Yes. And then the last option on that toolbar is reactions. Okay. Everybody has those. And so you have the ability to give a thumbs up or to even give a hand clap, just to acknowledge, and let the people know. Maybe you're saying, "Are you good? Are you understanding?" So what I'm going to ask is, if you are totally good with what we've said, go ahead and give us a thumbs up, by finding those reactions. Oh, there we go. Lots of thumbs up. Whew, I know it's been fast and furious. We are going to go through some of these questions. There's definitely a lot about the breakouts. Okay, so you, as a participant in the meeting, you do not have the ability to assign breakouts. They are down at the bottom of the host menu. And so there was even a question um, about why would I use the breakouts. Maybe you're wanting to use them for small groups, okay, and maybe you're wanting to focus on, if you have them working on different projects, right? You can jump in and out of those small groups and talk, but they then have the ability to share their screen with each other, with just that group. Okay, so using those smaller groups um, might be a way to enhance your instruction. Okay, so here I want to show you one other feature. If you click on participants, mine says manage participants, but if you click on participants, you have the ability to raise your hand. That's a great feature. I see Miss Hetty raised her hand and then lowered it. That's a great tool to use for your students. Maybe if they have a question. So I'm going to leave my participants open, and if you have a question, um, go ahead and raise your hand. I know we might all have lots of questions, but raise your hand and we will get to as many as we can. So S. Michelle. Okay, Matt Condon. Hmm. I think that it defaults to everyone publicly and privately. So then you can go in and once the meeting starts, you can go into that chat down at the bottom, click on the three dots, and set your chat options from there. And that's definitely one thing that we suggest as your first meeting. You might want to just keep the agenda light, right? When you're meeting with kids, let it be a time for them to explore the tool. Just like you're going to explore the tool. We don't want to throw in like the Pythagorean theorem on day one of Zooming, right? So just kind of introducing them and letting them kind of play around with the tools while you're still figuring it out um, helps create a safe space for them. Karen Groves. Uh-oh. Let me make you a co-host. So I'm looking on the features and I don't see the ability to I can stop video for people and I can. Oh, yes. There it goes. Advanced sharing options. So it says one participant can share at a time. Multiple participants can share simultaneously. And then it says who can share. This is the best part. It says only the host or all participants. So you can toggle that on. And then it says who can start sharing when someone else is sharing. So, for example, if I left it on all participants, then um, I can take over for only the host and all participants. Okay. I I I honestly don't know about if that records there. One thing that Yes. Now, in the breakout rooms, there is the ability for students to invite the host in. So if it's not just putting them in and then you have to know, you can just pop in. You can just pop into each room, but if students actually need you, they can invite you and they can even type a message to you and say, "We need help on this." And then when you enter their meeting or their sub meeting, you'll be ready to answer their question. Okay. Yes. Okay. So we've got some additional resources and videos. Again, this link is available to you, and um, there's more information here that you will be able to click on. And then if you have any other specific questions, feel free to reach out to your campus instructional technologist, and um, and they will be able to help you out. Absolutely. Blong break. Oh, belong. I'm so sorry. So when you are recording, they are being housed in the Zoom. Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Can can you see can you see my screen now? Okay. So there's a recordings tab here, and so once I'm done, these are all of the recordings that I've done. I have the ability to share it, and then I can download or delete if I need to. And notice that these are previously recorded. This is still black, and which tells me that we are still in that meeting. Yes. Yes. Renee, I see that you have your hand up. Renee Haas. So right now, Zoom is giving everybody that premium access for, I think it's 60 days for this whole COVID experience. And so that is part of it. I would definitely, I'm not sure if they're going to extend that deadline, but I would suggest maybe downloading that video after the meeting, and that way you have it saved just in case they decide to limit your space or they start deleting videos. That way you still have your record um, of your meetings and you're documenting your time with students. You're welcome. Are there any other questions? Absolutely. All right. Well, if there are no other questions, we are going to end the meeting. Oh, I see one that says, "How do I raise my hand?" You go to participants, and then there's a feature. There's a button that says "Raise your hand." And what that does on my side, on the managing participants, it brings your name to the top. So right now they're all alphabetical. If you, yep, Amberly, your name is now up at the top. Do you have a question? Yeah, so just to piggyback off of that, we are currently kind of in and out of curriculum planning. So there's teacher leaders and curriculum writers who are currently writing a basic shell of what we are expected to be teaching as we're moving forward. And those expectations of what needs to be pushed out as opposed to how often are we expected to meet with students virtually, which may not even be a lot, but just kind of as a way to connect. Those will all be pushed out via curriculum coordinators and even your principals. Miles, I see your hand. Yes. So I don't think it'll show on the screen, but remember that we are screencasting this. So if you go back, you should be, nope. You'll be able to see all of the things that's happening on the screen. But on those three dots where you have the save chat feature, we have more options that limit who can chat. And in fact, I'm going to now block all chatting by saying no one can chat. So you should not be able to even type anything um, from there. right. Are there any last minute questions? Well, Carla's getting that. Justine? So there is a way to schedule your meetings, and then I would just make it known. So you can either use the same general meeting, and then for each prep, say we're going to meet at 8 o'clock for this prep, at 9 o'clock for this prep, and 10 o'clock, depending on how you communicate that. Or I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to show you again the ability to schedule a meeting and make it a recurring. Okay, so when I schedule a meeting here, okay, it's going. I can maybe I make this calculus. Okay, and then I can set this for the first meeting time and then make it a recurring meeting. And notice then I have the ability to change how often I'm going to be meeting. So how long is that going to be? How long is that link going to be active? Notice when I uncheck that, it changes my options from meeting ID which is generate automatically. That's just kind of the random code, as opposed to the personal meeting ID, which is that constant code. When I select that recurring meeting for calculus now, it's going to allow me to meet for as long as I need to every day without having to keep sending that link. Does that make sense? All right. Okay. So at this time, we are going to cut it off. We've met our 45 minutes. If you have any specific questions, please feel free to reach out to your campus instructional technologist, and they will definitely be able to help you. All right. You guys have a great rest of your day, and we will talk to you later. Thank you. Miss Goldstein, are you still there? Okay. I saw you with your hand last minute, so if you want to ask your question real quick. Great question. No, I totally forgot to share that. So let me. So once it'll go into this option right here where it says meetings. Okay, and then all I have to do is come in to this specific meeting right here maybe, and then I can grab this URL and post that to wherever I need to paste it. I just copy. You're welcome.